Olga, welcome to CGTN High Talk. A pleasure to have you joining us today. The Boao Forum for Asia annual conference sees a gathering of political, academic, and business leaders from around the world, each coming with their own set of priorities and focuses. I would like to start today by asking about your focuses this year.
At the annual conference of the Boao Forum for Asia, this year, the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, the IFRC, will focus on key areas that will allow us to address the pressing humanitarian challenges of our time, to discuss the state of multilateralism and multilateral humanitarian system and the extent to which it is serving the global good.
The theme of this year's annual conference is Asia and the World, Common Challenges, Shared Responsibility. How does the East Asia Delegation of the IFRC promote joint efforts in the region to really tackle some of our common issues?
That the IFRC East Asia Delegation facilitates collaboration among Red Cross societies within East Asia to tackle common issues in the region and indeed globally. And our primary goal is to reduce humanitarian needs, to build resilience, and to respond swiftly to disasters and crises by being well prepared and by having strong response capabilities, and also by using the IFRC response tools, for example, disaster response and emergency fund, or DREF, and emergency appeals. In East Asia, we have platforms for Red Cross societies to share challenges, to learn from one another, to develop common approaches. Now, in the face of escalating humanitarian needs, we really need to work together to sustain our humanitarian effort and ensure that aid reaches those who need it most, not only in the headlines crisis, but also in the crises that do not make it to the news. So we need more countries in Asia to take greater responsibility, greater financial responsibility to support the multilateral humanitarian action in the region. And we need more humanitarian financing to cover the growing gaps. And it is also very important to understand that developments in the region's complex emergencies will depend more and more on the actions of neighboring countries within Asia, not somewhere else. And within that, the IFRC works very closely with the Red Cross societies in East Asia to build credible humanitarian diplomacy. And in 2024, the need for strong and credible humanitarian diplomacy will be more than ever.
And COVID really forced us to learn valuable lessons, a lot of them the hard way, as a community. When we think about the next big thing coming, what needs to be better in terms of relief efforts, and how can Asian neighbors join hands in mitigating the chances of the next health crisis?
The World Disaster Report highlights three key recommendations that are based around trust, equity, and local action. So let me unpack a little bit. So the COVID-19 pandemic made it very clear that building trust in communities is crucial. When people trusted public health messages, they were willing to comply with public health measures, even if it meant that they had to be separated with their loved ones, with their family members for many, many months at a time in order to slow the spread of the disease and save lives. And similarly, it was only possible to vaccinate millions of people at a very short span of time when people trusted the authorities about the vaccines and the effectiveness of the vaccines. And then, of course, disease outbreaks, they thrive on inequalities, poor sanitation, overcrowding, lack of access to health services, or even malnutrition make the immune system much weaker. And so it allows the diseases to spread much easier. So viruses and the measures that we adopt to address them are also very inequitable. So we really need to understand the health and socioeconomic impacts on communities. So for us to really be able to address the next pandemic, we need to address these vulnerabilities in advance, before the next outbreak. And of course, I'd like to also mention the role of local actors and local communities. And we saw they are the first responders. They play the important role in the whole spectrum of disease outbreak management, and their local knowledge, the training, the investment into building these systems and structures to be able to respond are very important. And we could see on the example of the Red Cross, Red Crescent societies around the world, they were able to respond quickly. Why? Because they were already in their communities and they were already trusted.
Climate change has really imposed great challenges, devastating impacts, and also more frequent extreme weather events. How should countries join hands in tackling climate change?
Climate change has brought significant changes and has increased the frequency and extreme weather events in East Asia. And East Asian countries have been really very active in addressing climate change, both domestically and internationally. All East Asian countries have accelerated their domestic national contributions. So all East Asian countries have inclusive green development. All of them accelerated their nationally determined contributions. All of East Asian countries have very strong national adaptation strategies that also have a lot of elements around disaster risk monitoring, around early warning capabilities, around comprehensive disaster risk management. And climate change impacts are really interconnected with other issues, such as poverty, such as inequality, degradation of natural resources. And to address these challenges, a truly multi-stakeholder and multi-dimensional approach is essential, and platforms like the Boao Forum for Asia play a very crucial role in continue to foster these important conversations and in finding consensus. And Boao has already made significant contributions in bringing together participants from diverse backgrounds, in raising awareness, and in cultivating collaboration. So moving forward, it is really important to achieve consensus and take joint and concerted actions. So now between 3.3 and 3.6 billion people live in contexts highly vulnerable to climate change, and it's the world's poorest and most exposed communities that suffer the most. So IFRC recognizes the challenges and has devised solutions to address indeed the imbalance in capabilities between countries. So to tackle these global issues, the IFRC employs multifaceted and community-centered approaches. And we do it through our extensive network of 191 national Red Cross and Red Crescent societies around the world, and through 16 million of community-based volunteers. And they are embedded within their communities. They play a crucial role in reducing disaster risks and responding to climate-related disasters. So climate-vulnerable countries and communities with limited capacity require more support. Current international climate adaptation finance flows to developing countries is 5 to 10 times less than what is needed and what is required. So it is crucial that we can channel more funding to those countries and to those communities that are most vulnerable.
We understand the IFRC is working with the Red Cross Society of China and also the China International Development Cooperation Agency in international aid. What are the highlights of this cooperative relationship, and how has China contributed to increasing international aid in the face of international emergencies and disasters?
China has made remarkable achievements in domestic economic and social development, and also has made remarkable contributions to the global development. So in the IFRC, the world's largest humanitarian organization, we really need these lessons from China. We really need to learn these lessons, and we really need to. And China's experience and insights are very crucial for us, and also for our network around the world. And the Red Cross Society of China plays a really big role in addressing humanitarian challenges domestically and internationally. So allow me to also mention that the Red Cross Society of China was honored the IFRC's highest distinction, which we call Henry Davison Award in 2022, for their outstanding contribution to humanity and for the incredible work that they did in addressing COVID-19 impacts domestically and internationally. And of course, we encourage China and the Red Cross Society of China to increase their role in the IFRC multilateral channels and IFRC multilateral system, which spans across 191 countries around the world, in support of the humanitarian outcomes and in support of the global humanitarian cause. So we welcome and we're very encouraged to see increased contributions from the Red Cross Society of China to the IFRC emergency appeals and to the IFRC longer-term plans. And we also appreciate the opportunity to share and learn from each other. Now, I mentioned that we need to work together much more to address the escalating humanitarian needs so that the aid can be delivered to those most in need. But it also needs to be delivered effectively, and it needs to be delivered in the quickest way. And here, the Red Cross Societies of China Foreign Aid Supply Station is an excellent opportunity to drive this effective aid delivery. So we're now negotiating to potentially make the Foreign Aid Supply Station of the Red Cross Society of China one of the IFRC supply chain hubs.